Finally, after months, I got my solar battery charger out again. There's a reason why I can't use this in cold weather. And there's something they don't tell you about using lithium ion batteries in northern climates and off-grid environments. So it's a little windy out here right now. Let's go upstairs and let's talk about lithium ion batteries. Well, back inside the office here, I want to talk to you about an important point that you almost never hear or read about with off-grid homesteads that use lithium-ion batteries for their solar power storage. And the big reason why I cannot use my solar chargers for lithium-ion batteries most of the winter. A lithium-ion battery, the normal chemistry that we're familiar with, the 18650s and the flat cells, the normal lithium-ion battery that we're used to, will be damaged if you charge it under 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. They're perfectly fine to be used above that temperature, above the freezing temperature of water, but if you charge one of these below the freezing temperature of water, you start to cause damage to the battery itself. You can store them under freezing to a certain extent, but charging them will cause damage. And that's why I haven't been able to charge my batteries outside of my solar battery bank, my solar battery charging system, most of the winter. I have to wait for a warmer day. And it's very limiting for me with all these batteries that I have in the winter. But it also made me think about a very important point. People, a lot of my viewers, and I hear it and see it a lot all over the internet, and I hear it a lot from my viewers, are concerned with my having these batteries inside. And I think 99% of the people who watch my videos tell me I should absolutely get these things out of the house and not have them inside. The problem is they will be destroyed. I have 3,000 or 5,000 batteries here that I need to charge up and get ready for springtime for my off-grid solar-powered workshop. I have to build battery banks out of these batteries, and that's going to take time, a lot of time per cell. Each cell that makes up a battery pack takes me a day to charge, discharge, test, recharge, and prepare to put into a pack. So I don't have time to wait for spring and finish these packs. So a lot of people are concerned with the danger of having these indoors. But what you don't get is that a lithium-ion battery sitting on a shelf will sit there for eternity and do nothing. It might degrade and decompose, but it's never going to do anything dangerous and explosive to your home just sitting on a shelf. This particular battery is actually from a device that was sold in 2009, and the company went out of business in 2012. Most of these are dated 2011, and they're still able to be brought up to almost full capacity. And so these batteries have been sitting on the shelf for 11 years, and they haven't exploded or burst into flames or done anything except for some are decomposing mildly and degrading. I don't know if you can see that, but they will decompose, but they're not going to burst into flames on you just sitting on a shelf. And there's a big misunderstanding about lithium ion batteries being used inside a home or being brought in and even stored inside your home. If you don't short out the leads and you just have them sitting there safely, stacked up, put together in a battery bank, as long as the wires are far apart from each other and not shorting out against each other, this will sit there until Jesus comes back and do nothing except for decompose and degrade and break apart into their elements just naturally. In my experience and from studies online and from watching videos, the chemistry of lithium ion is pretty safe. These here are actually from your Amazon Kindle. I have stacks and stacks of these. Now, people don't think a thing about holding their Amazon Kindle in bed with them and reading a book on your Kindle, or taking it to bed at night and then laying it casually next to you at night. It's the same thing we're talking about right here. These is exactly what I'm using to power my workshop. These came from a device, like I said, that doesn't even exist anymore, and they've been sitting around for years, and they're still sitting there. They haven't exploded or burst into flames. A battery sitting alone, untouched, isn't going to do anything at all except for biodegrade. And here's something, and I want to thank Chris, Dropped Low. A lot of you remember Chris from my videos and know him. He reminded me, in the middle of my doing this video, I'm starting over, because Chris reminded me of something I never even thought about. These lithium-ion batteries that I have here are so common that they're all over your house and you don't even know it. And so a lot of my viewers are upset with me, but yet I bet 99% of you who are upset with me for having them inside. And when I'm attacking, I was surprised Chris brought me brought this to my attention. I wasn't even thinking it. We all have these batteries in our homes. These round 18650s and these flat packs are everywhere, and we don't even think of it. Our cell phone actually has exactly these flat batteries in it. These are in our cell phones, and we put them in our pocket. We take them to bed at night. We sit them on our nightstand next to our heads. We don't think about these things. They're just part of our life. They're so common. Battery packs, rechargeable battery banks. I have these everywhere and consider them to be pretty safe. Just sitting on the shelf, just sitting there. Your camera, your digital camera, that's a lithium ion battery pack right there. Most likely, that's a bunch of tiny cells like these. Okay, most likely there's cells like that inside your camera battery. And people have these sitting around. But here's one that might surprise you all. This might be a shocker, and it's funny, thank you Chris for reminding me. Your laptop has a lithium ion battery in it. Actually, it has a bunch of 18650 lithium ion batteries. The battery bank is loaded with these. And I bet a lot of people don't even think of that. Right there. We have these all over our homes in our daily lives. I have a humidifier that I use right next to me to help me breathe in this cold winter. Has lithium ion batteries. There are pocket fans that I have one here. They have lithium ion batteries. They're everywhere in our house. They're everywhere. Flashlights, they all have lithium ion batteries. And they're either the flat packs or the 18650s. As long as they're sitting on your shelf, not being charged or discharged, they're going to be pretty safe. They're just going to sit there. They'll sit there for 20, 30, 50 years and not do anything. Just sitting there. So thanks, Chris, for that. So common, I didn't even think of the laptop. It's so common. It's funny because a lot of people take apart laptop batteries to get these and recycle them. Which brings me to the actual real danger, where the danger comes in with these, is when people misuse or abuse them or use them in the wrong manner in a way that they're not made to be used, or make mistakes with them. If I was to short the plus and minus together, this is a big danger. I can't say the words on YouTube. My video will be banned from advertising, but the word starts with a B and ends with a B. If you hook these two together, you've got quite a bit of power right there in your hands. Don't do that. Another thing, these are safest when they're used with protective circuitry. Just sitting on the shelf here, it'll sit there for eternity. It's not going to do anything, just sitting there. When you're charging and discharging and using them, you've got to have the correct protective circuits to eliminate the danger. When I'm charging these up in my office, and I've got them in my charger, I monitor the temperature. I have my laser thermometer sitting right here, and I monitor the temperature closely with my hand and with the laser thermometer. I never charge batteries unsupervised inside. Charging and discharging is where you can have the danger and a physical damage to the battery. But again, I'll repeat, they'll sit here forever without being used, and the worst they're going to do is decompose. But they're not going to just spontaneously combust on you unless there's a physical damage or under charge or discharge, and then under extreme conditions. In here, I'm going to monitor the temperature, the device, make sure it's not overcharged or over discharged, but I'm going to make sure that it doesn't get warm. I use reduced currents when charging and discharging my batteries to protect their life and protect me, but I also monitor the temperature. If you're charging these at a reduced current, they're going to stay room temperature under charge. If I notice any starts to feel warm at all, it goes out. I don't use it. I refuse to take that risk. It goes out. I'll probably just put it in the recycling bin. I won't use them. And I'll mark them with a big old X on it. I won't use them. Some of you have seen the other day, one of my chargers out on my solar powered unit went bad, and this is the result. It puffed up. I wasn't worried because I've seen that a battery on that spot puff up before, and I thought it was weird, but it was a little cold out, and I thought maybe the cold did it. But it did it again, and this battery I took out of circulation. I will never use it again. I will never do anything with it except for recycle it. I don't trust it. That battery is physically damaged. Now that battery can sit here on the table for eternity, and all it's going to do is break down into its original molecules. It's just going to biodegrade and disintegrate over time. It's not going to do anything just sitting here. The danger with lithium-ion batteries is under extreme conditions. My phone is charging right now. It's not warm. I do check it though. I do check my devices when they're charging. Oh, it's charging. Yes. You don't think about plugging in your phone under normal conditions because there's protective circuitry in here to make sure it doesn't overcharge, over discharge, or overheat. If it does, that protective circuitry is going to kick in. And every battery should have a protective circuit board. That's that little guy right there. Or this one here has a more complicated circuit. Every battery should have protective circuitry, and this one even has two thermal sensors, those two in the back right there. Two thermal sensors. So when this battery's under charge, discharge, or any conditions, if it starts to overheat, the circuit board is going to disconnect the battery from the outside world, eliminating any possibility of danger. This one's a little bit more simple. I don't know if it's got thermal controls in there or not, but it does have charge and discharge controls. These actually were disconnected from the outside world, is why I took the case off. That was some of these. And to get to the battery itself, the circuit disconnected the battery from the outside world to protect it because it was it was over discharged to too low a voltage. These were at 0.5 to 1.5 volts. And that circuitry is going to keep you safe. Your cell phone battery has a protective circuit in it. That little thing on top is going to protect that in your phone from overcharge, over discharge, and overheating. If any of those conditions occur, over voltage, under voltage, over current, under current, and temperature, it's going to disconnect that battery from the outside world, rendering it mostly harmless. That is how to use these safely. In all the videos and all the studies I've seen online of pyrotechnic conditions with these type of batteries, somebody's doing something extremely unusual, extremely insane, or extremely dangerous, or just intentionally trying to blow it up. And I've seen a lot of laboratory tests and demonstrations of pushing them to the farthest limits to see how far they will go before they self-ignite. And you have to really push them hard, especially these round ones. You have to really, really push them hard to make them blow. A lot of the do-it-yourselfers, I've seen them on e-bikes especially, power walls, they're not building the circuits right. They're not putting the safety in, and that's why they're blowing. Also, with the e-bikes, they're overcharging, either too high a voltage, too high a current, or they're over-discharging, extremes to cause these cells to fail. In an off-grid environment, you want your batteries. This is a battery bank I made out of a bunch of these cells. Cell phone batteries, as safe as this is right here, and as common as the batteries are sitting around your house and all your devices. This pack right here is going to go in my power wall in my garage. For off-grid environments, most people are not going to push their battery banks to extremes. When you're in an off-grid situation, you want to baby your batteries and get the maximum lifetime out of your batteries to get the maximum return on your investment. You're not going to overcharge and undercharge and push them too hard, and because you want them to last for as long as they can. And so these are not going to see any maximum conditions. They're not going to come anywhere near the maximum charging voltage or current that the manufacturer specifies for these cells. They're not going to come anywhere near the maximum discharge current or minimum voltage. I'm going to keep them in a happy medium with control circuitry and make sure that these are safe. And on these, the control circuitry is still on them. But I'm going to make sure that I don't damage my power bank. I'm going to cycle it gently, and so under normal conditions these should last me, it could last up to the rest of my lifetime. And I'm going to have thermal sensors in here to check if any one cell, they will age, a cell will age, and as they age they're going to start to get warmer. And as long as you're paying attention and you pull that cell out before it gets too old and starts getting too warm, you have a pretty safe environment. So another thing which that brings me to is, another thing that causes these to fail is a physical damage to the battery. I check all my batteries. If I see any punctures, any problems or physical damage to the case, punctures, bends, breaks, that battery goes away. It does not get cycled in my place here. Even when I open a battery up, I check again, make sure there's nothing physically damaged in the battery, not puffed up. If a battery's puffed up, out it goes. It does not get cycled here on my workbench. And even then, it gets a very, very low charge current at first when I'm charging them up. The protective circuitry, again, is the key. But if you have a puncture, that's when you have the danger. And again, in those videos and all the reviews and the studies and lab tests and results I've seen, a lot of the times you see this happening, people are taking and going through extreme, massive abuse on those batteries, pushing metal through to get it to burn. And even then I've seen people taking a nail and a hammer and they pound it. Not once, it doesn't ignite yet. Not on the second time. Maybe on the second or third it might start to smoke just a little, maybe some fizzles. They got to really pound that nail in there to cause it to short out internally, to cause any real catastrophic failure. And I don't know about you, but I don't think many off-grid homesteads are going to be driving nails into their battery banks on a normal day-to-day basis. I don't intend to. I want these to last. And when they're on your power wall, I cannot imagine people driving nails or putting metal objects inside their batteries. Mine are going to be in a metal enclosure anyway to protect them from, let's say, flying metal or a piece of wood, because we do want to be safe and we do want them to last as long as possible. So I hope that covers a lot of topics and thoughts and misgivings and misunderstandings and worries about lithium-ion batteries in an off-grid environment. And by the way, these are all from batteryhookup.com. I've bought maybe 3,000 to 5,000, at least 3,500. I might have 5,000 batteries here. I've got boxes and boxes and boxes from Battery Hookup. Some of them are in bags, pouches, packs. Some of them are loosely together in boxes. Some are in pairs. But the important thing from them all is that the leads are taped off and protected from shorting out in storage. If your batteries don't short anything, don't short your leads together, don't get punctured, and are not under charge or discharge, they can sit here for eternity and they aren't going to do anything. They're pretty safe sitting in a box as long as you cover those conditions. Battery hookup, I'm getting between I'm spending about $10 to $15 for a kilowatt hour of batteries. That's what it's coming out to for me. For a whole kilowatt hour is between $10 and $15 when I buy in bulk like this. I get a lot of random stuff, but I've got hundreds of the same type of battery. And so I'm able to make a lot of good battery banks with this stuff. Go check it out, guys, if you are interested in do it yourself. And they have a lot of new stuff as well. And save 5%, use the discount code DIYTube, save even more. They're the cheapest place I've ever seen. Go ahead and check them out. But my point, they're not going to do anything sitting here. And most of the batteries that I have cycled through here are turning out to be almost as good as new. Some of them, I think, have never been cycled, like these thermocells. I don't think they've ever been cycled. Some of these have just been sitting on the shelves for years. Some of these are ancient in time, but they're amazing me in their capacity. Once I'm running them through a couple cycles, I'm actually able to get near original rated manufacturer's capacity from 10, 12, 14-year-old batteries. So that's a whole different video in itself. I have some exciting stuff on my electronics channel that I'll be finishing up here in the next days and weeks about batteries and their lifetime and their shelf life. Generally, we are told that these batteries cannot be sitting around on the shelf for more than a year or two. They degrade over time. But I'm going to blow that out of the water with some of these antique batteries that I'm restoring to almost new condition. It's amazing. That is a separate video. So I am very careful. I never leave anything charging when I'm not here, just to, for those of you who I know are worried. All of these just sitting here, there's nothing going to happen. They'll sit there for eternity as they are, as long as they're left like that. It's when I put the power to them that I have to be careful and I have to pay attention and I have to be watching what's going on. And as long as I do that, it should be pretty safe, especially with the reduced currents I'm using. So, I hope you like this video. Please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Check out the Do-It-Yourself World Electronics for some really exciting videos and some cool stuff I'm learning about these with real-world experience from antique batteries. Amazing results and incredible stuff that I have to share with you guys. Well, that's it. They're everywhere. We got these things all over our homes and don't even think about it. Talk to you later.